Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart Federow from Houston, Texas. Welcome back, my dear, sweet
good to be
friend.
back.
Yeah, baby.
And I'm sorry for being so late. It's my fault, and I apologize.
You know what? You didn't even have to say that, because next week when people
I did. It's my fault.
Only the people who are watching live know we'll be starting on time or not.
Well, either way.
That's cool. Very, very humble of you. You're a good man. I don't care what my wife told me a minute ago.
Truth.
It's all good. It's good to see you again. It's not as good to see you now as it could have been. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. If I'd have been able to come in.
Yeah, it was. We were that close. Just saying.
I know.
Just saying.
I had to cancel out on you in the last minute.
All right. Well, February.
But I'm looking at 2 weeks from now.
That's
14 and 12 is the 26th. I'm looking at that. The last Monday in the month.
I can definitely...
I'm hoping to be able to come in then.
Sweet. Very, very cool.
Live!
Well, our topic tonight, my wife picked out. I was like, what's a good topic we could actually rock on with? Because my wife was raised Catholic. She was not just raised Catholic. I mean, she wasn't Catholic before, kind of like, well, my grandmother was Catholic, so I must be Catholic. No, she was she was Catholic beyond Catholic. I think she was more Catholic than the priest was. And I was going to say I say that respectfully, but actually I didn't. Yeah, whatever. But you get the point, though. She was
Yes.
so dedicated. I mean, from she went to Catholic school from the time she was in kindergarten all the way up to high school, all the way through high school, and then after high school, in her working career, she still stayed faithful to her going to confession. And well, that's another good topic we should talk about sometime. We may even do that tonight, actually, because we're kind of on that roll.
I confess it. You're right.
Yeah, right. There you go. So, so I think maybe we will discuss that as well. So I chose the topic tonight was basically because my wife thought that I think it's a great idea. I think it's cool.
Hey,
so heaven,
whatever
hell,
you're wanting to talk about is fine by me.
heaven, hell, and Satan. And I specifically want to clarify,
You devil, you.
I am not. Just to clarify, I repeat, I am not referring to my ex-wife. No, wait, just in case the wrong ex-wife is what? Yes, 3 times. Okay, I know I just stuck my foot in my mouth. That's okay. Don't choke. This is fine.
Yes.
Oh man, it has been a good day. Today was a good day. I worked.
I hope they are all good days.
Yeah. Their work usually is, but there's some days that are better than others. And today there's just been some good stuff happening spiritually with me and my mind and my heart and stuff. And
Good.
Moving forward, and sometimes you feel like you just kind of get into a lull, to where you just kind of get stuck for a while. And I feel like today.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, and I feel like today, for me, was actually a good growth day. And it's really interesting because, I mean, Torah does that to you. I mean, the more you really, and I'm talking to the people out there, the more you, like swamp yourself with Torah and Torah teachings, it has that purging beauty to it. It's really nice. And so for a long time, that's all I did was like day after day, I would just hammer myself with Torah Parshot and, Midrash and just Bible, this and that. And sometimes you just go to work and it's just silent, no music, no nothing, and just go to work and just kind of work and come home, silence, watch a little TV. But then it takes a long time sometimes for you to notice the changes. But man, Torah is beautiful. That's all I know. So with that said, let me do this. Let me go ahead and get the phone lines turned on. I don't want to miss any great questions that our viewers will be offering for us tonight. Let's see.
While you're doing that, Kelsey Lynn talks about The Disputation starring Christopher Lee.
It's great.
Yes, it is great. It is great. Which is exactly what I wanted to say.
Right
so
on.
It's The Disputation.
And you can watch it.
I think it was originally a made-for-TV movie, but at any rate, it's still available. You can get it through Amazon, I believe. I know you can get it on Rabbi Singer's website.
Right. Now you can watch it on YouTube for free, but you have to watch it in 20-minute segments, and that's kind of annoying. But if you want to own a copy, which I strongly recommend, definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, since Rabbi Singer is one of our key rabbis here, I would highly recommend buying it from him because that'll kind of help his, because he's got a lot of inventory that he actually purchased. So, but for those of you who don't have that access, definitely go online and look for it on Amazon. You can pretty much get it from many different sources. So,
right.
There you go. Yeah, it's great.
Rabbi Singer's get it from there too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I tried to put up a number, but I put the wrong banner, and there it is. Phone lines are open. 855-95 Bible for you people who are on the go. Yes.
What was the number again?
855-95 Bible. 855-952-4253.
Right, and
you can get MetaShare if I'm in a good mood.
I found out that. Wait a minute. I even wrote it down.
You found the MetaShare number?
Yes, I heard it on the radio, and I wrote it down.
Okay.
Let me.
I gotta know what it is.
It's 844-47 Bible.
844. Really? So how did they get it so messed up then? I mean, that's not even close. This is the last.
They're hitting.
It's the very last digits. Come on, people.
Yep.
Okay.
844-47 Bible. That's what I wrote down.
No kidding.
I think that's so. I'm pretty sure I got it right.
Wow. Okay,
so
cool.
855-95 Bible is the right one.
Yes, that is the one. 855-952-4253. Yep. So there you go. Hello, everybody. Rabbi Stuart. This dude is a stalker. Rabbi Federow keeps showing up. Okay, Delaney, hello, Grant Dunn, shalom, my brother. Lori Cash, Fernando Colon. I'm sure you have got a great question for us soon, but don't interrupt our main topic. Just kidding. You can call if you want to. Love talking to you guys. The Blues Band, shalom, Kelsey Lynn, good to see you. All right, so moving forward. Okay, so let's start them off in order. Where's my order? Let's see, heaven. Okay, heaven. There we go. Heaven, hell,
in heaven.
So we're going to cover these three things in order, without overlapping them back and forth. Just start off with heaven. I'll ask you a question, or unless somebody else wants to call in, ask a question regarding heaven. Call it right now. I know there's people out there who got their own questions about it. I didn't know really until this last year. Actually, this knock talk was that heaven it's not really something Jewish people worry about. It's not something they think about day to day. They just think about serving Hashem.
William, when I occasionally get a call to go speak to a nursing school, graduating nurses, one of their questions they want to talk to someone Jewish about the difference between a patient who is not Jewish, which is like the majority of patients they're going to have around here, and the patients who are Jewish. And one of the things I tell them is what's on the mind of a Jewish patient isn't going to be, am I going to make it to heaven?
Right.
Okay, what's on their mind is going to be, will my children remember me? Will my grandchildren remember me? Have I had a good life? They're not worried about the afterlife because that's really not a
motive.
A what?
It's not a motive. It's not a motive of their servitude.
Or issue, or
right.
It's not. Look, if I were to describe to you an automobile engine, okay, or one of the fancy tools you have to do your construction stuff,
right.
Okay, it has a very specific way of working. Okay, and so let's use my analogy of an automobile. Okay. The engine of an automobile works a very specific way. Every single part that's underneath the hood of the car has a very specific task to do. That's what it's there for. That's what it does. Nobody worries about it unless something goes wrong. Okay, but nobody really worries about it or thinks about it until something happens. Well, nothing's going to happen to go wrong. So the mechanics, okay, of the universe is that there is an afterlife. Okay, there is a punishment in the next life for the sins we commit in this life. That's the mechanism. But the mechanics are, except in specific cases, the punishment is not eternal. And it says in Ecclesiastes 12:7, something like that, the dust returns to dust from where it came. The spirit or soul goes back to God who gave it.
Right.
So it doesn't say the good soul. It doesn't say the Jewish soul. The way the car works, the way the mechanism of the afterlife works is for every human being. They're judged on their behavior on this world, okay? Not on their faith system, not if they have the right beliefs, not if they prayed to the right name of God,
right?
Okay, but on their actions with other people and with their relationship with God. and there's a punishment for their sins in the next life. There's a punishment in the next life for the sins they committed in this life. The punishment fits the sin. But when the punishment is over, the soul goes back to God who gave it. That's the mechanism. That's how it works.
To take that a little further, to drive that a little further, pun intended.
Okay.
That's a really great way of explaining it. Now, in my history, I've always had to buy used cars. Okay, and the used cars that I've always bought has always already had problems. So if you live your life like a used car, meaning that if you constantly just being stupid and doing sins all the time, then you're going to be more and more concerned about it. But if you will dedicate your actions in your life to God, representing yourself like as a new car, one that's under warranty, you don't worry about it breaking down until it actually breaks down. Once it breaks down, then you deal with it.
Except the way the world and universe works and the soul works and everything else is not going to break down. This is how it works.
Right.
So
love it. Beautiful.
There's no reason to worry about it or think about it. Whatever we've done, either intentionally or by accident, whatever sins we've committed will be taken care of. Okay, we'll be punished in the next life, but the punishment is not eternal.
That's something.
Okay, and that is the main thing, except in a very few instances of kinds of behaviors, okay, and very specific kinds of people, I guess you'd call it. Okay, the vast majority. Look, we're not Hitlers, thank God. May his name be blotted out. We're not Khomeinis. We're not terrorists. We're not murderers. By and large, we live our life as best we can and go on from there. And we're not bank robbers, and we're not. You see my point?
I do. Yep.
So we live our lives as best we can. We do the best we can. And if we've made mistakes by accident or by intent, there'll be a punishment. We'll have the punishment, but then the soul goes back to God who gave it. And it's that simple. And it's just as much for non-Jews as it is for Jews. They're judged on their behavior, not on the fact that they had the right religion or the right belief system or the right God that they prayed to or the right name for the right God. None of that. It's their behavior.
Right.
And even though our thoughts lead us to our behavior, we're not punished for our thoughts. We're punished for our behavior.
Right. Agreed.
Okay. So that's just the way the world works. This is the system that we're in. This is how the soul operates.
Now, I would say that Christianity has an issue with that, but not all of them. Actually, I don't know if it's half and half, but one thing I've learned about Christianity is most of them don't agree on hardly any one topic. But this is one for sure. You've got the once saved, always saved people, and then you've got the ones that understand that that's really not a true concept. You have the Revelation chapter 3, I think it says that outside the gates, it doesn't say in hell, it says that outside the gates of heaven will be the idolaters, the fornicators, blah, 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 blah. So there's something in there that they have a little bit of insight to. And then you have the Hebrews, I think 10:26, that says that if you reject if you sin pretty much after being made known to the truth, that there is no sacrifice for you, but just a fiery expectation of a hellacious indignation. I mean, like
and
really,
every
really
time this
brutal.
comes up, William.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, actually, I was done. Go ahead.
Well, every time this issue comes up, I always have to admit my ignorance, the fact that I just don't get it, because Christianity always talks about a lake of fire.
Right.
But if the dust returns to dust, if the flesh and blood, okay, goes back to the earth that gave it, okay, and the only thing that lives on or goes on from there is the spirit, the soul, which is spiritual and not physical, how can it be burned in a lake of fire? Never made sense to me, this Christian idea of you're going to burn in hell. What's going to burn? Burning requires material to burn. It's a spiritual existence that our soul has. Right. So what can burn? It never made sense to me and still doesn't make sense to me.
On a spiritual level, pretty much all of Torah can be taken obviously as literal, but also you can apply it in a metaphorical sense on so many levels. And so, like for fire, for example, the way fire purifies gold, right, is you put whatever chunk of gold you got in the fire, and you burn it and burn it, and dross keeps coming up. You scrape off the trash, you throw it away, and it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. Sometimes it'll take you an hour, sometimes it takes 20 minutes, sometimes it takes 4 hours to get 24 karat gold. But once you reach that point, this is literally on a scientific level. Once they reach that point to where there's no more dross, why keep it in the fire? It doesn't make any sense. So that's when they take it out the fire. So like us, as the way I've always understood that to be, even before I came out of the New Testament, was that if there is a hell, I mean, there's no purpose for like leaving gold in a pot for 10 years. Just once it's purified, it's purified. Get it off of there. Right. So in a similar way, I think there's a good comparison there.
All right, 2 quick things.
Okay.
Because they just flashed on the screen. Green Acres Pest Control LLC writes,
Jason,
heartburn is the worst. Maybe that's what they mean. But that's still physical.
Right.
Okay. And just a real quick interjection. Jamie Behan writes, Rabbi Federow, does Judaism believe in an antichrist? If we don't believe in the Christ, why would we believe in an antichrist?
That's
if the whole concept of the Christ, is New Testament. New Testament isn't even part of our Bible. It's a Christian appendix to the Bible. Why would we believe in the Antichrist? That's
right.
Yeah. At any rate, okay. So back to our topic at hand. The second word that you have in the title, Heaven, Hell, and Satan, is the hell part. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and we kind of covered this, even though we've glossed over it real quick. And that is start over. Be very careful how words are used. And we use the word hell. Hell, by definition, means, ask any Christian, the place that the soul goes to be punished eternally for their sins in this life. And it's the issue of eternity that Judaism rejects for the vast, incredible majority of human beings on planet Earth. Okay, we're not going to be punished eternally. That's not our God. God is merciful and compassionate and forgiving. And what would God get out of eternally torturing a soul? It makes no sense.
Right.
Jewish. Okay, that's a God of cruelty. Small G-O-D, not capital G. Okay, that's a God of cruelty. That's not a Jewish idea of God. Okay, unless you're a Hitler, whatever, horrible, that manner, measurement of evil. Okay, the idea that you're going to have eternal torture is just not our idea of God. So hell we don't believe in, because by definition hell means eternal punishment of the soul, and we don't believe it's eternal. Therefore, we don't believe in hell, because that's part of the definition.
There's one place specifically in the New Testament that talks about hell. Actually, there's a lot of them, but this one particular one, it doesn't say that you'll be cast eternally into the lake of fire. It says you'll be cast into the eternal lake of fire. So lake of fire is eternal; it'll always be there. But your time spent there is something that even I think
and
the
that's
New
what
Testament,
Christians believe.
Yeah, no. Well, no. The Christians believe that they're going to burn forever, because that's like the fear tactics, right? But I'm just saying the actual verse itself in Matthew 18:8. It says, let's see, is it Matthew? Let me look for, hang on 1 second. 2 feet. Oh, yeah. It says, anyway, last part of it says, then to have, where it says, okay, I'll just read it off. If your hand or foot caused you to stumble, cut it off and throw it from you. It's better for you to enter life crippled than to have 2 hands and 2 feet and be cast into the eternal fire. Mark says, if your eye caused you to stumble, same thing. And it just says cast into hell. It doesn't say eternally. It just says you're being cast there. Now, there's one place that does mention eternal, but that just goes to show that even the New Testament writers don't really agree. They don't really understand the whole concept of hell to begin with. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay. And the second thing is the Satan. The last thing of the three is the
Oh, wait,
Satan.
are we done with the hellfire thing yet?
Well, what else is there to say? I mean, it's not, it's not. We don't believe in hell.
That's right. We
Because hell, by definition, means an eternal torture of the soul. We reject the eternal nature of it, so we don't believe in hell. It's rejected the end.
So, what is the place that you go to for purification?
The afterlife.
Okay, so you're being purified in the afterlife, out of God's presence, I guess.
No, you're in. Why would you be out of God? Where can
Hey,
you be
hey,
without
I
being
am
in God's
asking a
presence?
question. Don't be upset with me for asking you a question, man.
I am not upset with you for asking me a question. I am merely asking
This
the
is
question right back again.
good.
Where can you go without and not be in God's presence?
Okay, that's good. Okay, so and I think that's something that needs to be clarified. So there is no lake of fire at all in Judaism.
Judaism, look, by and large, Judaism doesn't sit there and define exactly what happens to us in the afterlife because it's all conjecture.
Right.
On the other hand, if you really want to get down to it, I can show you passages in Jewish writing that makes Dante's Inferno look like a picnic in a beautiful park.
I was going to say Dante's Inferno, I think, was what was inspired the New Testament writers to say that.
Yes, and there's Jewish equivalent of that, but it's just not that common. It's just not that what's the word? It's not that found all over the place in Jewish writings. It's just not that. It's not a concern. It's not part of the Jewish mentality. It's there, but it's all conjecture to begin with. Why would we waste our time?
Agreed. I mean, even I'm looking right now at some verses that are referenced regarding hellfire. I'll put them up on your screen right now. And they're not. They're very, very vague. They're not at all like the New Testament tries to paint it. Like right here, Deuteronomy, the Lord your God is a consuming fire, or jealous God. Doesn't say anything about hell.
Yeah, but
Jeremiah says, "My wrath will go forth like fire," but it doesn't say anything about a location. It just talks.
And it also doesn't say that it's eternal. And it doesn't say that it's a punishment. It's just likening the wrath to like you're in Southern California, that the fire's getting closer.
Right. They even quoted Malachi 3:2. So it says, "For he is like a refiner's fire, like a fuller's soap." I'm thinking, really, they really just took this stuff way, way out of context. Who can endure the burning of his anger? I mean, that can be applied to any human being, much less. It doesn't have to be a location. In fact, it's not. Like you said, there is no specific idea of a locale.
There's a passage. William, you're going to have to help me because I can't.
I'll look it up. Go ahead and
remember it offhand, but there's
a
passage that talks about that something about the judgment and some will go on to a great, wonderful whatever, and some will go on to everlasting contempt.
Oh yeah, right.
But that doesn't mean
right. Okay.
Contempt.
There's Daniel, but you were talking about New Testament though.
No, Hebrew Scriptures.
Oh, and Daniel.
That's it.
Daniel 12:2.
Daniel 12:2.
Yeah.
Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
Right.
Contempt isn't what happens to them; it's how we feel towards them.
Interesting.
Use the same, example that I've already used twice already. Hitler will forever be held.
Right.
He will forever be held in everlasting contempt.
Right on.
But he himself, it's not saying that he is in some sort of hell and damnation or whatever. I would presume that would be one soul that after it's given the torture it deserves, it just ceases to exist because he so tainted the soul that God gave him by his behavior that there's no redemption of it, and it's annihilation of the soul, I think it's called, is a fancy term.
Wow.
But Daniel 12:2 does not really mean it's everlasting hell, everlasting torture. It means the person's held everlastingly in contempt.
Very good.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Right now, the epitome of evil is Hitler. If you want to invoke Hitler, if you want to invoke an evil, you invoke Hitler. And this is already 70 years after.
Okay, answer Matthew X. Last statement on YouTube chat.
Wait. Okay, hold it.
Last comment.
Wait a minute. Matthew X. Hitler not in hellish place. He was used by Hashem and employed by the USA government. Matthew, believe whatever you'd like. In this whatever, we're not into conspiracy theories like he was employed by the United States government.
Jamie, we will get to that in just a few minutes. We're on our way there. Sit tight. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's focus on those.
Right.
Okay, got it. Very good. Okay, so yeah. So with that said, I guess we'll get to Satan quicker than I thought. Tarsus was a place. Okay, let's see. Without Hitler, Israel Jews not brought. Okay, what does that mean? Show.
Do what?
Matthew responded.
Without Hitler, Israel Jews not brought back. Actually, that's also not true, because it may have happened quicker. Okay, Matthew may be correct that it was quicker, but you already had things in play.
He says that's what he meant.
The Balfour Declaration goes back to the late 1800s, where England, who already controlled the Promised Land, or eventually came to control the Promised Land in, I can't remember the chronology, but the Balfour Declaration came from England, and you remember Israel got the control of the Promised Land from England. England controlled the land by 1948, I think with World War I. And the Balfour Declaration said the Jews have a right to their own homeland. You know, they were the indigenous people till they were kicked out. They have the right to their indigenous homeland. And that was one step along a long path that preceded the Balfour Declaration to get the Jews back into the land of Israel. In 1920, the nations that won World War I got together and basically divided up the land and said that what we call the Promised Land will in fact go to the Jews. So I do believe he's correct, if that's what he meant, that the events of World War II, the Holocaust, etc., speeded up. Is that the word? Speeded up, whatever, the establishment of the state of Israel. But it was already on its way to existence long before World War II.
Interesting.
So, yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking because I'm going to put up an overlay on the screen. I just thought, and this is just just as a trial to see if it will actually help viewers after when it's not live. Because a lot of people who watch it, who don't watch it live, they miss out on the YouTube chat. And so I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to begin putting in the YouTube chat as it happens so people can actually watch it as it goes on. So, Rabbi, you can go ahead and continue. If you don't have anything to continue on regarding what we already talked about, then we can go ahead and move on to the topic of Satan. And so Christianity has a view of Satan, and then there's the proper view. Notice the distinction there. And so that's what we're going to go on to next. So what I'm doing right now, I'm going to do the overlay. Bear with me 1 second. See if I can do this without actually corrupting the shot altogether. It may be harder to follow because I can't actually give you guys the full. You have to read fast. That's all I can say. Okay, so Satan, according to Christianity, is the adversary of God. It is certainly an opponent of Hashem. And so what does Judaism say about Satan? What does the Torah teach in the actual Torah references? What can you show us there?
Can I just interject something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right. Grant brought a passage from, I assume the Talmud, but I'm not sure where he's getting it from, that refers to the fire of hell, which is an interesting translation, that was created on Monday is not extinguished forever. And all that means is that the punishments are going to be there. And the fact that this is translated as hell makes me sincerely doubt the religion of the people who did the translating, as far as that goes. Or at least the translation, I have. Gehenna, or Gehinnom, Valley of Hinnom, refers to a valley outside of Jerusalem that was used first to burn the trash, but it was also where they sacrificed children to Moloch, and which became the epitome of the punishments of the afterlife. And I'd have to take a closer look. I'm not sure exactly where he got this from, but it seems to me that what it's talking about is that the punishments are always going to be there. But I don't think it means that, a person is there eternally.
Right.
But,
I totally agreed. And like I said, I don't even think the New Testament itself.
Well, I'm not from the New Testament.
I'm saying in addition to that, I don't even think the New Testament authors agree on that either, as far as they don't believe it's that. Otherwise, it would have been more specific.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, hold on just a second. I've seen the word echo pop up a few times. I couldn't tell what the deal was. Andrea, the echo effect is quite distracting with the chat up. Oh, thank you. Never mind. Sit tight. I'll take care of that. Not a problem. I know exactly what's causing it. Capture system audio. Okay. All right, Andrea, you should notice that now that echo is gone. Thank you for pointing that out, by the way. Rabbi, continue.
Okay, at any rate, for the whole thing with Satan, okay, I wish you would pull up a few verses.
I can. Tell me what you got.
You know this one. We all do. Isaiah 45, verses 5 through 7.
Oh, you can actually pull them up on the screen. Got it. Hang on one second.
Isaiah 45.
Bear with me. Isaiah 45, right there, verse 1 through 7. Okay, I'll put that up now. Okay, 45:1. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose
45. It's Isaiah 45, 5 through 7.
Oh, 5 through 7. Got it. Sorry. All right, there we go. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God besides me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me.
And here's the main.
Yeah.
And the main thing here is 5 through 7. I am the eternal, there is none else, there is no God besides me. I girded you, though you did not know me, that you may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none besides me. So there goes a whole devil. I am the eternal, there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the eternal, do all these things. So here's a whole denial of the existence of a devil. Okay.
Right on.
What is the concept of the devil in Christianity? It's a power and force unto himself. He is called the God of this world, according to the New Testament. Specifically, what is it? 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. Okay, he's called the God of this world. He fights against God over human souls. He's basically like a second God.
Right.
And who fights against God over human souls. None of which makes sense Jewishly, by the way. Nothing of what I just said makes sense. So first of all, you've got the verse in Isaiah 45, really 5 through 7, but it's the last verse that counts. I am the eternal, there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the eternal, do all these things. Quick story, William?
Yes.
I have an Introduction to Judaism class. It operates as a conversion class for those people interested in converting. But I also get people who are not interested in conversion, who just want to know about Judaism. Minister came to the first class. He signed up for the class. He wanted to hear what Jews think from Jews, which was very commendable because whenever Christians teach about Judaism, they get it wrong. When Christians teach other Christians about Jews and Judaism, they get it wrong because they're looking at it through Christian-colored glasses.
Right, true.
It's just that simple.
Right.
So he was doing the right thing. Well, one of the first things we go over, okay, in the course of the class is the difference between the Christian concept of devil and the Jewish concept of the Satan. And when I read this passage, he got so upset where God is responsible for the evil in the world. I make peace and create evil. It's verbatim what Isaiah said. It's right there.
Right.
And he got up and walked out and never came back.
That's funny. That's
It
hard.
is.
I see people
It is.
commenting all the time on the whole on any topic they can, and it's like when they follow, even on YouTube. Whenever we have a YouTube video up, I'll see somebody comment on the video, and they'll say like really extreme things, like they were taught to say, was like, you're a liar, just like the devil's a liar, blah 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 blah.
Right,
But they make all
Yes.
these accusatory statements with nothing to back it up with, just their own opinions. And that's where it ends. And it's very unfortunate because, I mean, I did the same thing. I mean, that's what you do. It's like when you get on fire, what do? You stop, drop, and roll. It's the only thing you know how to do. And so, okay, no pun intended there. Just go right it up that way. So it's unfortunate, but that's exactly how Christians are taught to deal with things. I even had, I think I told you this once, the lady that lived behind us, we called her Mom, where the studio used to be.
Sure.
You met her several times. Me and her got she was talking to me one night, and after a few glasses of wine, and she basically opened up more than her priest told her she was allowed to, and meaning that she shared things with me that required a rebuttal, and after I rebutted the first comment, she goes, you know what? She goes, my priest just told me, he said, and she would never told me this if she was sober. She says, my priest told me that I shouldn't engage in any kind of scriptural discussions with you. She goes, she said, I love you, but she goes, I got to follow what my priest said. And the priest knows better than to allow anybody there to engage with someone who knows the scriptures as well, or if not better than they do, especially if they disagree with them. And so that's what happens. The only thing you can do is fall back on emotions and fall back on statements that might derail you and try to intimidate you and cause you to be thrown off balance so that the discussion will end. And so my encouragement to you guys is stay on point. If you get in these conversations, stay on point, stay on scripture. Don't go to these emotional things. Don't say my rabbi said. Learn the scriptures. Go to the scriptures.
Yeah, read it for yourself. Don't believe a thing I say or anybody else for that
absolutely.
matter. Read it for yourself.
Right on.
All right. Okay.
What do we got?
Okay, next quote that I want you to throw up.
Okay.
First of all, the Isaiah 45 quote denies this whole idea of a devil who works against God,
right,
and who's the god of evil and the whatever. Okay, now let's take a look at. Okay, two words operate here. One is devil. One is the Satan.
What verse?
No, I'm just saying in general.
Oh, okay.
What verse? We're going to look at Job chapter 2, verse 3 through 6.
Okay, Job 2:3. Okay, got it.
Okay, but the devil is a Christian concept of an entity who works against God, has power in and of himself, who works against God, who fights God over souls, etc. All the typical images you get from movies and TV and all that stuff. Okay, the Bible does, however, talk about the Satan, and it's the Satan. Okay, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but it's like a title.
Yes.
The Satan is a title to a job description, like you say, the rabbi.
Right.
Now, if somebody says, hi, rabbi, they're using the word rabbi like a proper noun, like a name. Okay. But the Satan, like the rabbi, is a title to a job. It's got a job description. So what is the job description? And here we take a look at Job chapter 2, verse 3 through 6. Okay. The text reads, and the Eternal said unto the Satan, by the way, you'll notice that in Christian translations, the word the is missing. It's just Satan, like that's his name. Okay. But it's the Satan. And it's like a job description. Okay, so here's the job description. The Eternal said unto the Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man? Wait a minute, I thought humans can't be perfect. A perfect and an upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil, but still he holds fast his integrity, although you, remember God is speaking, although you, the devil, not the devil, the Satan.
Right.
Thought I'd throw that in there. Okay. Although you, the Satan, moved me, who is God, against him, which is Job, to destroy him without cause. And the Satan answered the Eternal and said, skin for skin, Yea, all that a man has he will give for his life. And now this is the Satan speaking. Put forth your hand, that's God's hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he, Job, will curse you, God, to your face. And the Eternal said to the Satan, behold, he's in your hand, but save his life. So what's going on here? The task, the job description of the Satan is to do sting operations against human beings, to put them in a situation to see if they will succumb, if they will turn to sin. Okay. In order to do this, he has to get permission from the Satan. The Satan has to get permission from God. Nowhere does it say that the Satan has power in and of himself to work against God.
And you said something that was really astonishing to me one time. You said, if indeed Satan is the god of this world, then all of a sudden there's not just a trinity, there's like a quad. Because if there is a Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and then you have a god of this world, then there's four gods.
In a few minutes, not now because there are other passages I want to look at first, but if you wait till a few minutes, William, I'm going to ask you to turn to that to that 2 Corinthians 4:4 verse. Okay. All right. So here in Job chapter 2, verse 3 through 6, you have this image of the Satan going to God. Okay. God saying, hey, have you looked at the servant Job that I told you about in chapter 1? Isn't he great and wonderful? And the Satan says, of course he's great and wonderful. You haven't heard him. Okay. Start hurting him and he'll curse you to your face. Okay. And then God says, okay, you have permission to do what you want to his body, but don't kill him.
Right.
So it's clear that the Satan answers to God. The Satan is like a prosecuting attorney doing a sting operation. We'll get more than that when we get to the next quote from Zechariah. Okay. And I always choke over that. Zechariah, not Zechariah. Right. I love that. But at any rate, okay, so it's clear from the Job passages that the Satan has no power in and of himself. He's got to go to God for permission to do his sting operation, just like a prosecuting attorney or DA has to go to the judge to get permission to do a sting operation against human beings.
Right.
Okay. Totally different picture than what we find in the Christian concept of a devil. Okay, now take a look at Zechariah chapter 3, verses 1 and 2.
Now, did we go through the Corinthians one yet, or the?
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay, go to
We'll get there.
Okay,
I want people to see, okay, the Jewish view of the Satan from Jewish scriptures.
You said Zechariah 3:2?
Yeah, chapter 3, verse 1 and 2.
Okay, got it. Very good. So, 1 and 2, got it. Let me go back up a little bit there. There you go. And he showed me Joshua, Yehoshua, the high priest.
So let me set the scene. Okay, this is like the end of CSI. This is the end of Law and Order, where you've got the judge who's about to give the verdict. Okay, but God is the judge. And read this, and you'll see it's a courtroom scene. Okay, and he showed me Joshua the high priest, that's the defendant, standing before the angel of the Eternal, that's the defense attorney, and the Satan standing at his right hand to resist him, that's better translated as to accuse him. Okay, because that's what the word Satan, Satan, means, the accuser. Okay, the prosecuting attorney, the district attorney. Okay, so you've got God as the judge, the high priest as the defendant, standing with his defense attorney, the angel of the Eternal, and the prosecuting attorney on the other side of the aisle, just like Law and Order. And the judge, the Eternal, said unto the Satan, the Eternal rebukes you, O Satan, even the Eternal that has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? What does that mean? The high priest has been kicked out of Israel. He's been part of the Babylonian exile. But now it's time for the Jews to return to the promised land, reestablish the temple, etc., which eventually they did under Ezra and Nehemiah.
Okay.
Ezra, yeah.
Yeah, Nehemiah.
Okay. All right. So what does it mean to be a brand plucked out of the fire? William, you just described it 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Okay, you put the brand, okay, when it does its branding, gets meat on it, gets cow on it.
Right.
So you put it in the fire to burn it off, to purify it. Okay, brand plucked out of the fire means it's recently been purified.
Right.
So the high priest has been purified by having gone into exile and suffered for having done that. But now it's time for him to return to the promised land and start being high priest again for the temple.
Right.
And the Satan has said, no, 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 he's a bad guy. Don't let him go back. And the judge, God, sides for the defense and says, he's been plucked out of the fire. He's had his punishment. Now it's time for him to go back. So it's clear from the Job and the Zechariah passages that the Satan in Judaism, in the Bible, okay, in the Tanakh, is an angel of God who never fell from heaven. We'll get to that in a minute. He works for God, not against God, to find out what the truth is, like a prosecuting attorney or district attorney works for the judge in a courtroom, has to get permission from God, like the DA has to get permission from the judge to do a sting operation.
So humans have, humans have free will. So if the Satan and the demons, does any of them have free will? Like demons, for example. Demons, I mean, they can just do whatever the heck they want, right?
I've never done a demonology, by the way. That means a study of the demons in their specific religion.
I talked with Rabbi Singer about that once, and he said, well, the Satan doesn't exist like Christianity teaches. Is there demonic activity? Of course there is. But the Satan himself, the Satan, the Christian church looks at it not as a title, but as the person, does not.
As we're talking about now.
Right. So you do have evil activity.
The Satan is an angel. The angels don't have free will. They do the bidding of God.
Right.
Okay. And by the way, in Job chapter 2, verse 3 through 6 that we first went to, the Satan is an angel, and he's in heaven. He never got kicked out of heaven. That's a Christian thing from the next quote we're going to go look at.
That is a whole new topic right there. Wow. Okay, what quote are we going to?
Well, it's actually part of this topic.
Okay. No, I mean that's worthy of a whole show on its own. Yeah. Wow.
This will take 5 minutes. It would be a 5-minute show. Okay, take a look. It's lengthy.
Okay.
But take a look at Isaiah chapter 14.
Okay.
Verses 4 through 17.
Okay. Putting them up now. Okay, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor
Against who?
ceased?
Against who?
The king of Babylon.
Exactly. This is all about the king of Babylon, okay, who thought he was hot stuff, okay, but who has been brought low. Remember, the king of Babylon got defeated by Persia. When Isaiah 45, verse 1, is explicitly talking about the king who defeated Babylon, which was Cyrus of Persia, who there he's called a Messiah, not the Messiah, he's called a Messiah, an anointed one.
Right.
Okay. So Isaiah 14, verses 4 through 17, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Eternal has broken the staff of the wicked. Who's the wicked? The king of Babylon. And the scepter of the rulers. Who are they? They're the other like sub-rulers of the kingdom of Babylon for the king of Babylon. And then go on. Let's use yours, not mine.
Okay.
Okay. He smote the people in wrath. He that ruled the nation in anger is persecuted, and none hinders. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing, okay, because the bad guy king is dead.
Right.
Okay, keep going up.
You might want to use yours because you're seeing a 20-second delay.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at the, even all the chief ones of the earth. Okay. All right. So, wait a minute. Bring back up mine. Okay, so verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Who's coming? The king of Babylon, because he's been killed. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth, It has raised up from their throne all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Again, it's the king of Babylon who got defeated. He's just as weak as all the other kings who got defeated. Have you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and your noise of your violins, or whatever, the worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. Now we come to a very important verse, the 12th verse. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Ooh, Lucifer. This is talking about the devil, because it says Lucifer. No, Lucifer is, I can't remember, Greek or Latin, and it means the bearer of light, and it's a very direct reference to the morning star.
Wow.
Okay.
And there it is right there. It's Halel.
Yes, which means
Halel.
Bearer of light.
No kidding.
How have you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, O morning star, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you said in your heart, I will ascend unto heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mountain of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So here, the king of Babylon, who it is speaking about, is likened to the morning star. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
And it says, you've been brought down. You've been kicked out of your throne. Okay. You thought you were going to ascend higher than the throne of God, but you didn't. You're now dead. You're now lost your power. You're brought down low. Okay. This is 15. Thou shalt be brought down to hell, Christian translation, to the sides of the pit. They shall see you they that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Remember, the king of Babylon was very powerful.
Right. That
made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. Is this the guy who was so powerful? No, now he's been brought low. Okay, now let's talk about this image of the morning star. Okay, and frankly, William, for this, I'm going to ask you to put the camera on me.
Oh, actually, it's been on you the whole time.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, that tells you what I know.
That's okay. I'll put it back on you again.
So let's pretend that my hand,
yep,
okay, is the horizon. Okay. The morning star is called the morning star because it's the last star to be seen in the heavens when the sun comes up on the other side. Okay?
Okay.
So you got the sun over here, the morning star, which is actually Venus, by the way, the brightest star in the horizon on the other side away from the sunrise. Okay. The morning star, as the sun goes up, okay, the morning star goes down below the earth.
Right.
So the image that he's giving is like a morning star going on underneath the horizon. It's like the earth opening up and swallowing the star. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Huh. Okay, so that's the image that the biblical passage there is talking about.
Gotcha.
As the sun rises up, the morning star appears to be dropping underneath the horizon as if it's falling into the earth, which is the image of what, Sheol, the unknown, okay, or even the Christian hell is supposed to be in the earth. Heaven is up, hell is down, that kind of thing.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now.
Wow.
Okay.
Jason Akers said. Gates of Hell sounds like a great metal band to open for AC/DC.
That's funny.
Oh boy.
All right. Okay. So, all right. Wait, wrong one. Okay. Here's another thing that I want you to look at. Okay.
What do you got?
All right. Oh, you're not going to be able to see this. Okay. Okay. What was the name of the land, of the promised land, when the Jews took it over under, you know,
Before
under Joshua. Okay.
before it was Israel, it was Canaan.
Exactly.
Right, Canaan. Right.
Okay. The Raas Shamra texts,
Okay.
Raas Shamra texts are Canaanite mythologies that were discovered uh, uh, by archaeological digs. Okay.
Okay.
This is called the myth of Athtar. 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 He's the Canaanite god of the underworld. And this is what the Raas Shamra texts said about Athtar. Okay. This should sound familiar because this is the source of the Christian concept of a devil.
Whew.
Okay. Before we were reading about the king of Babylon, likened to the morning star called Lucifer, which means light bearer, because it was the last star in the night sky before the sun came up. And as the sun came up, it went down. Okay. This is the myth of Athtar in the Raas Shamra texts. Then Athtar the Awesome climbed Mount Zaphon, ascended the throne of Baal the Almighty, but his feet did not reach the footstool, his head did not touch the headrest. Then Athtar the Awesome spoke, I cannot serve as king, I cannot dwell on the heights of Zaphon. So Athtar the Awesome descended, stepped down from the throne of Baal the Almighty. He became king of the underworld, lord of the river of the dead.
Huh.
Doesn't that sound like the devil?
Right.
Where they say he was tried to take over from God and instead got kicked out of heaven. How can you have evil in the heaven?
Right.
Makes no sense.
So tell me a little bit about what you know of Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
Associated
Actually,
with Christianity.
Well, yes, but Dante's Inferno has a very interesting characteristic. Besides talking about the various tortures of hell, each kind of torture is for a certain kind of sin. It's also interesting that Dante's Inferno mentions the pagan gods as if they were real and really existed, who are now in hell.
Right.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, nice. Dang.
All right, it's been a long, long time since I've read Dante's Inferno and the poem and that whole bit. Okay. But it's clear that the myth of Athtar, the Canaanite god of the underworld, where Athtar tried to take over from Baal the Almighty and instead gets thrown into the underworld to be Lord of the River of the Dead, is the basis of the Christian concept of devil and has nothing to do with what we've read anything about the Satan.
Right.
In the paragraph, about from Isaiah 14:12, how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer,
right.
is all about the king of Babylon and has nothing to do with the Satan.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Okay, now, take a look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4.
Okay, let's see if I still have it in memory here. There it is right there. All right, let's put this up here.
All right. The text reads in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. It's a statement that the devil is the god of this world, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. So it's the devil's fault that people don't believe in Jesus. That's what 2 Corinthians is saying here.
Wow.
Okay, but the interesting thing is that the word that 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, that Paul uses for the word God in the first part of the verse is theos, like theology, theos.
Yep.
Theos, it means God, is exactly the same word it uses for God at the end of the verse. Who in the image of God should shine unto them. The image of theos, it's the same word as it was in the first part of the verse in reference to the devil. So 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4 is saying that the devil is the god of this world, whereas God is the God of the heavens. That means you've got two gods,
Right.
or if you include the Trinity, you've got four gods: the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Now you've got the devil.
Okay, let's close with this. Someone asked a question: why is Satan always imaged with like a red suit and a pitchfork and horns? They didn't say the pitchfork and horns, but the red. Why is Satan always pictured? It's kind of like Jesus. Why is Jesus always pictured as a white dude with long, curly brown hair, and he's got blue eyes?
And very thin,
Yeah.
okay, and very effeminate looking.
Oh yeah, definitely right.
So tell me something, Mr. Carpenter, because I've seen your woodworking, William. Would you consider yourself to be, thin and effeminate looking?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So the drawings of a Jesus that's thin and
Yeah.
not muscular and effeminate is not how a carpenter 2,000 years ago would look.
Well, granted, I don't look like Hulk Hogan, but someone who made a comment will get that someday.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, if you look at it, he looks very indoorsy, very much behind the desk with long hair, sort of a thing.
Right.
So, but back to the Satan. Why do you think that the New Testament portrays Satan as? I think because there's such a huge essence and a point made on blood throughout the whole New Testament, and that's part of what scares people into. Oh my God, he had to die for my sins, and so this whole red blood thing is just very demonic and satanic. So I think that probably has a connection point myself, but not for sure. So mitzvah golem, good cop, bad cop idea.
I'm not quite sure that that's how I see that.
Tell me how you see it. What are you talking about? What I said or what you're reading off the screen?
No. What you're saying, how the devil is portrayed as goat-like with horns and red skin or red, whatever.
Oh no, I'm saying as a
Okay.
Christian myself, we've always, anytime you see a picture, like even in the coloring books for kids, they would just show this guy with like the horns and a pitchfork.
Right.
Not goat
Okay.
horns, but just horns, like Maleficent sort of a thing, but not so big.
All right. See, because I think the horn stuff is Christian.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Why-
I think that's,
why do they-
I think it's Book of Revelation.
From like
Okay.
they're like hijacking from Daniel or something.
Well, I'm not sure where they hijacked it from at this part, although
Okay.
a lot of the Book of Revelation seems to come from Daniel, Ezekiel, and one of the other ones I can't remember.
Gotcha.
But throw
Wow.
up on your screen.
Yes.
Okay. Revelation 13.
Revelation, where is that? I'm just kidding.
Wait, let me
13.
try to go there too.
13:1. I'll just start at
Easy
1.
to get to. 13. Okay.
I like putting you up full screen. I know you don't like it, but I get to see your face more in person that way. Not so
Oh,
small.
here we go. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. Okay, and the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard. No, that's not it.
Well, you got the horns part. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about.
Well, I think it's all over Revelation that the devil has horns,
Right.
or the image of the. Let's see.
I just saw something on there. It was really cool. It says pagans.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth,
Oh, man.
and he had 2 horns like a ram, and he spoke as a dragon, whatever that means.
Okay, so
Okay.
the blues man said pagans should sue Christianity for copyright infringement.
Yeah, really. By the way,
That's great.
if the Jews had copyrighted the whole Bible, it would be true then that the Jews would all be rich because we'd have all the money from
Oh,
copyright use. But we
no
didn't.
kidding.
So, at any rate.
Interesting. Cool.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Rabbi, you better get your hiney over here. 2 weeks. I'm counting on it.
I'm hoping.
I'm
yes.
counting on it. No
By
joke.
the way, one final thing about this whole
Yes.
heaven, hell, Satan business.
Yes.
Okay, notice that Greek religion had Zeus and Hades.
Okay.
Rome had Jupiter and Pluto.
Huh.
Christian has God and devil, or Trinity and devil.
I think that's
The
why.
point is that it has a lot more in common with Hellenism and Roman let me rephrase that. It has a lot more in common with the paganism of the Mediterranean cultures of 2,000 years ago than it has with anything you'll find in the Hebrew scriptures.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was
You
the
know,
last thing I wanted to say.
well, to connect that even further, Paul, it was Paul. I think it was in one of the later writings. He said that the people after he, what was it? After he was like their ship crashed or their ship was sinking, and he threw all the stuff out, and they were sitting around the fire. Snake jumps out, bites him on the hand. Nothing happened, and so they like decided to kind of like give him homage because it was like he was like one of the other gods. He was like, dude, I'm just a man. But the thing is, that type of belief system was very prominent in that era, and so all these pagan gods and all these god demigod sort of thing was very common to them, and so. I really think that that's kind of where this whole New Testament thing was directed.
And you might be right.
So,
and you might be right. Okay.
Maybe.
Quickly, there are some questions up on the chat on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Okay. So,
thank you, Curtis. Good man.
all right. So we did that already. So
Okay.
Jamie writes, Rabbi Federow, why does St. Jerome, the 4th century early church father, claim that Paul's parents were originally from Galilee and then moved to, I think he means Tarsus. I'm not sure what he means by Taurus.
Probably Tarsus. Yeah. Saul of
Okay.
Tarsus. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
All right. Well, because Paul was from Tarsus, why would he claim they're from Galilee? So that it would give the image that Paul would have had more of an intimate knowledge of the Promised Land and Jerusalem and Israel and all that whole bit. So I think Jerome is trying to give credibility to Paul because his background might have been from the Promised Land. That's the only thing I can figure.
Huh.
Okay. Remember, though, that the patron god of Tarsus, okay, where Paul he was called Saul of Tarsus, that
Yeah.
Tarsus, patron god, was Mithra, and the characteristics of Mithra and the characteristics of Jesus are very parallel.
Wow.
Very parallel.
Okay, so quick
Paul,
comment.
if he really knew anything about religion, he knew more about Mithraism than he knew anything about Judaism. Okay.
Quick comment.
let's-
Jamie Behan. He's got a lot of questions out there.
Yes.
From the same
Why did
person. Why does Christianity claim that Moses had horns like the devil? I have never heard that in my life. And I've
God, William, when I was a kid,
seriously?
I had other kids looking at my forehead to see where the horns were.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not joking. I'm very serious.
Jamie, I apologize because in my mind I was thinking, okay, this is a stalker who's trying to stir up strife. I did not know that was actually legitimate.
Yeah, well,
So
Jamie keeps asking questions.
You got
like
my
he's
vote. Hey,
got an agenda behind every one, but it
True.
doesn't matter. The point is that, oh no. First of all,
wow.
as a matter of fact, if you got a minute,
Yep, go for it. Take it.
John chapter 8, verse 44 and following.
Okay, hang on one second. John 8,
John,
44.
now I got to bring it up too. John
Okay.
chapter 8,
44.
verse 44.
All right.
Where are you?
Whoops,
44.
that didn't help.
Here we go. Okay. John chapter 8, verse 44. Okay? Speaking, remember, to the Jews. Not some of the Jews, not the Jews in Israel, not the Jews in Jerusalem. Okay? The Jews. Okay? Some point out that he's speaking to even the Jews who followed Jesus. Okay? But that's not how Christianity understood it. They understood this paragraph as being about all Jews. So Jesus is speaking to the Jews,
Right.
and he says, you are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He, the devil, was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of lies.
Wow.
So here, Jews are portrayed as being the descendants of the devil, and if the devil has horns, well, then obviously the devil's children, who are the Jews, have horns.
Ah, right. I got you.
Okay, so
Yeah. Interesting.
that's one of the main places okay, for this idea of the Jews being, satanic, the devil. Okay, because we're explicitly called the children of the devil in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44 and following. Okay, now there's another passage. This may take me a couple seconds to find. Okay, let's do this. Let's do. Oh, come on. Oh. Moses is coming down from the mountain, and the biblical text in the Torah says that his face shined. Okay? Except that's not the... If you don't look for the exact word, you won't find it.
Right.
Okay? At any rate, they take the word that means beam of light, that can also be translated as horn. And so in the Michelangelo sculpture of Moses, that's actually quite famous, Moses is portrayed as having horns. Okay?
Right.
Because of this mistranslation of the passage. It's not because of mistranslation. It's because of John, the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44 and following, where the Jews, which would include Moses, are called the children of the devil, murderers and liars.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of people will say, oh, it's because of the mistranslation that they have the... No, it's because of the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44 and following, where the Jews are the children of the devil. So to answer his question, that's the reason why.
Jason.
What? Where is it?
Jason Akers. Jason Akers always has funny. He's funny. Man, I love you, Jason. You rock, dude.
What did he say?
He's a really dear friend of mine.
Yes, I know. I think I've met him. But
no, actually, you haven't met him yet. Maybe one day we can. No, because he actually lives. He doesn't live around here, but he's been helping me and to talk with my tech stuff. Like anytime, I could call him at 2:30 in the morning, and he would answer his phone. But he said, so if I look under the kippah, there are horns?
Yes, you'll see horns. You'll see. Actually, no, I don't have my horns now because I sent them out to be sharpened.
Motorhead says mine are retractable. He's like Wolverine.
No. Mine aren't retractable either. They were sent out to be sharpened.
Oh
when I was
my
a
gosh!
Kid,
wow.
that's one of the answers I developed to tell them. Where are your horns?
Free Radical wants to bring up Psalm 97:7, and honestly, guys, we're out of time. We've been out of time for a while. So,
yes, I know.
Hey,
and
you know what?
It's my fault because I postponed our start.
Nope, that's okay. No. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, it's not that at all. Although, actually, you're right. It probably does have something to do with it because it's actually 9:45. I was thinking it was 9:15. Because I see a timer on my show thing that says an hour and 13 minutes, and so usually after it gets close to an hour, I'll start watching it. But you're right though. If it was actually earlier, we'd we'd be at an hour and 45 minutes, not an hour and 15 minutes. So
you're right because we were a half hour late. That's
that
my
is
fault,
okay.
I apologize.
That no problem at all. You don't need to apologize, man. We start late on a lot of shows, like quite often, just because this is a live broadcast. So if we want to start on time, if you want to watch it on time,
correct.
If y'all want to watch a show on time, you can go to TV. That's where the stuff is pre-recorded. They can start it whenever they want to. So that's how it works, man. Wow. Rabbi, it's been fun, man.
It always is.
Always is. I'm going to actually have fun going back now and watching this video because I never thought about actually including the chat on this whole setup, and it's really kind of cool. I can go back. If I set it up ahead of time, I can go back and actually read all the chat and maybe get some good questions for future shows from it.
That would be a great idea, since a lot of times we have no idea what to talk about.
Right. So true.
Seriously.
It's like random.
Another time to rely on people's suggestions. So.
Yep. In fact, it literally was minutes before we started. I actually asked my wife, what can we talk about? What can we do?
See, Jamie, you got a great purpose in giving us questions.
There you go. And keep watching in. And by the way, if some of you viewers out there are not friends with me or Rabbi on Facebook, you need to look us up. if you want to find me, just look up to Knock Talk, and then you can find me looped through there. Send me a friend request. And also, be sure to subscribe to the website, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and after you subscribe, be sure to turn on the notifications bell right next to it. Otherwise, you won't know what's going on. And same with Rabbi. Send Rabbi a friend request on Facebook. He would probably most likely love to visit with you guys. So, really great to see everybody tonight. It's been a really fun show as usual.
Right.
And so 2 weeks from now, we might have another guest in the studio, as Rabbi has said. He may be able to come down and visit with us.
I'm hoping to.
Yep. I can't wait till we actually get the studio fully operable, which is right on the property.
That looks like it's really going to be a cool building.
Man,
I'm really impressed by it.
It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. And if any of you guys out there want to jump on board and help this redneck pay for it, I would sure appreciate it.
Yeah, seriously.
Anyway, so, well, love you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Rabbi, love you. Look forward to seeing you
I love you too.
in person in 2 weeks, but seeing you again in just 1 week. And
Absolutely.
so, and all you viewers out there, same thing. Be sure
By the way, I'm going to be exhausted next week. I'm just telling you because the night before Sunday night, Sunday the day before is when I'm doing my Learn How to Read Hebrew in 3 hours class for Yom Limmud in Houston.
Oh,
so I'm going to be exhausted. I'm just warning you, just telling you.
You know what?
What?
I wished I could actually come up there and actually sit through that. Hey, anybody in Houston wants to sit through that, contact Rabbi Federow. You can actually go.
Best is just come. It's going to be at Emmanuel, 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. About 80 different people, literally, teaching 60, 70, 80 different classes from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the best day of the year, and the worst part is trying to figure out what you're going to miss because you can't be in more than one class at the same time.
Wow. Right on. Dang. Man, it's exciting. That's exciting. It's so great to see all you viewers out there and the high activity in comments. I love to see that, especially now I'm going to start putting them on each show. So I'll be able to go back and watch. So all you people who have been putting up questions they have not been getting answered, don't lose hope because now I've got actually a track record of your questions. Usually when you comment during a show and they go through here after the show ends, every comment just like disappears into thin air, but not anymore. I'm going to try to take care of that. So look forward to seeing you guys again, same time, same place next week. Hashem willing. Baruch Hashem, great show. And Rabbi, I love you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
I love you too.
Take care, everybody. Shavua Tov. Shalom, shalom.